Now I request Sri Mudangbai Vakil, Honorable Treasurer of AGFTC, to introduce today's our expert, Advocate Samir Siddhpuria. Mudangbai.
Thank you. Friends, the apex body of tax professional in Gujarat, namely AGFTC, and two leading associations in Ahmedabad, namely Chartered Accountant Association and oldest one, Income Tax Bar Association, doing extremely good job, and by organizing series of webinars on different subjects under income tax and GST, two major source of revenue for Government of India. Today, we have invited Sri Samir Bhai Ishwarlal Siddhpuria, a son of Ishwar, that is God, અને જેઓ સિદ્ધ પુરુષ છે, સિદ્ધિ જેઓને વરેલી છે, તેવા શ્રી સમીરભાઈ ફક્ત અમદાવાદમાં જ નહીં, સમગ્ર ગુજરાત રાજ્યમાં પોતાની ખ્યાતિથી પ્રસિદ્ધ છે. તેઓ ડ્યુ ડેટ્સ એન્ડ કોમ્પ્લાયન્સ અંડર જીએસટીના વિષય ઉપર પોતાના મંતવ્યો રજૂ કરશે. શ્રી સમીરભાઈ સિદ્ધપુરિયા, practicing in GST before Honorable the Tribunal, Advanced Ruling Authority and Commissioner Appeals. His specialization is also for planning the GST matter and providing valuable opinions for issue presented before him. He is a multifarious personality. He is author of so many books under VAT Act. He acted as an editor of the journal. He is also contributing regularly as a column written in Sales Tax General. Going on and on, he is also performing his duty as visiting faculty in Sardar Patel Institute of Public Administration and State Goods and Service Tax Department. He is a public speaker and had presented up till now more than 277 lectures around the state of Gujarat on GST under almost all the forums. Friends, for Samir Bhai, to deliver lecture is not just expertise, it is his passion, it is his hobby. He is always eager to deliver his lecture. I introduce before all of you Shri Samir Bhai Siddhpuria as an author, as an editor, a column writer, a professor, a public speaker, and above all, a man with clarity on the subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mudangbai. I think Samir Bhai will also agree that no one has ever introduced you like Mudangbai, what he has said in the start and at the end. So with these golden words, friends and all the participants, I just request that please communicate to your professional friends if they have not logged in, because this is the most important subject, what Samir Bhai is going to deliver, due dates and compliances under GST. If you learn the compliance under GST, then our practice will be much benefited. So please communicate with your friends and log into this important session. With these words, I request Advocate Samir Bhai Siddhpuria to start with his session. Samir Bhai, please. And I request all the panelists to switch off their videos for the better clarity.
Good evening, everyone. The President of the All Gujarat Federation of Tax Consultants, Sri Bharat Bhai, Secretary Sri Vishwesh Bhai, the President of the Chartered Accountant Association, Ahmedabad branch, Sri Ketan Bhai Mistry, and the Secretary Sri Mihir Bhai Pujara, and my colleague Monish Bhai Shah, the President of the Income Tax Bar Association, Sri Asutosh Bhai Thakkar, and Secretary Sri Ashish Bhai Tekwani. Friends, I am glad to deliver the presentation today before this tri-party body, which is the one of the eminent body of the Gujarat as well as India. Basically, organizing webinar and giving knowledge to the participants and the member of the association is a good thing, and therefore I congratulate all the members and the seminar to association to organize the webinars. Kartikeya bhai, how can I share my screen with you? હેલો.
હા સમીરભાઈ શેર સ્ક્રીન નો તમારામાં હશે ઓપ્શન.
નીચે સમીરભાઈ છેલ્લી લાઈન પર ગ્રીન કલર નો ઓપ્શન છે શેર ધ સ્ક્રીન.
હેલો હા તમે પેમેન્ટ ક્યારે કર્યું?
હું કરી દઉં.
એક મિનિટ વિશે તો ઓકે મેલ આઈડી સુધી તમારો રેફરન્સ
પેમેન્ટ કેન્સલ ગયું છે એમ કે છે.
એ રેફરન્સ આઈડી
હેલો.
વિશ્વેશભાઈ.
હેલો.
હાલો
હા વિશ્વેશભાઈ થાય છે.
હું કરી દઉં.
હા તમે કરો ને તો તમારા પર છોડ્યું.
ઓકે મારા પર છોડ્યું તમે.
હા
ઓકે કરાવી દઉં છું 2 મિનિટ. કરી દીધું તમે? PDF
ઓકે સમીરભાઈ દેખાયો?
વિશ્વેશ બરાબર છે.
ઓકે
અને ફૂલ સ્ક્રીન કરી દો વિશ્વેશ.
હા
યસ.
સ્ક્રોલિંગ કેવી રીતે થશે વિશ્વેશભાઈ?
એ હું કરી દઈશ તમે કહેશો એટલે.
ઓકે તો હું નેક્સ્ટ બોલું પછી તમારે સ્ક્રોલ કરવું પડશે.
ચોક્કસ કરી સર.
Okay. So today's subject allotted to me is due dates and compliances under the GST Act. The next slide, please. Today I am going to deliver and going to discuss the following topics pertaining to my subject allotted to me. Compliances, that is refund applications, notices, reply and order, the deadline for the same, in a specially by the extended period by the various notification. We all know that from 24th March to 30 June, there are lots of due to lockdown, we cannot respond to the various notices issued by the department. So how to comply and what are the deadlines to make a compliance of such type of notices received from the department, applications and reply and filing of an appeal, e-way bill and obtaining LUT, dates. There are various dates. Originally, notification is issued in the month of April and thereafter again it is issued in the month of June. So which is the correct date for filing the return? That is GSTR 3B, GSTR 1, CMP 8 and GSTR 4. As well as there are some other compliances is required to be done in form of CMP 02 and ITC 03. CMP 02, that we know that it is a form to opt out from the composition, and ITC 03 is the tax payment required to be made whenever we are opting out or reversal of ITC is required to be done. That is that form. ITC 04 is also a return intimation cum chalan for the job worker. Those who are doing a job work activity, they have to file return in form ITC 04. It is intimation cum chalan. So that is ITC 04. What are the deadline? GSTR 5, 6, 7, 8. These are very not known return, but again a very important returns. GSTR 5, 6 and 7. So far as 5 is concerned, it is applicable to non-resident taxable person. GSTR 6 is for ISD number, input service distributor. Those who are having a registration under the ISD, they have to file GSTR 6. GSTR 7 is a TDS return and GSTR 8. It is a form is required to be filed by the e-commerce operator. GSTR 10 is the final return if anyone's number has been cancelled during the lockdown or during the period of 20 March to 30 June or 30 August. So they have to file GSTR 10. But what are the deadline to file that GSTR 10? So that we will going to learn. Then the interest and late fee. There are various notifications issued by the board regarding the late fee and interest, and ITC calculation that we are going to learn. What the rule 36 subsection subrule 4 speaks, and how to avail a credit and how to make a calculation. That's I have prepared one calculation example, and we will learn how to calculate the ITC in context of rule 36 sub rule 4. And there are various amendment and rule what they speaks that we are going to learn in the today's session. Next slide, please. Relief in compliances. See, basically notification number 35 has been issued, and thereafter notification number 55. These two notifications is giving a much more relaxation in making a compliances. Next. So far as both the notifications are concerned, notification number 55 is amending the previous notification number 35. What it speaks? It speaks that any time limit for completion or compliances of any action by any authority or by a person, any person covers the registered taxable person as well as non-registered taxable person under the GST Act. So notification number 55 help in making compliances to the authority as well as the registered and non-registered person under the GST Act. So this is what is the very important notification which helps to make a compliances under the GST Act. Which type of compliances? The compliances which is required to be done between 20 of March 2020 to 30th of the August 2020. What it speaks? If any compliances is required to be done by the person, if it is as if he is a registered person or an unregistered person, if it is a registered taxable person or non-registered taxable person, but if he is required to do anything, any compliances between this period, then he can make compliances on or before 31st of August. So if the rule speaks, he has to make compliances within one month after occurrence of an event. But due to this notification, the deadline may be as per rule completed in June or July. But as per this notification, the deadline is shifted to June or July from 31st of August. So I give you just a little an example. If e-way bill authority has, state authority, mobile checkpost authority has detained my truck in the month of January, and I am required to file an appeal against MOV 10 or a DRC 7 order within 3 months, that if January, in the month of January, truck has been detained, then I am supposed to file an appeal within 90 days. So the 90 days completed in the month of April 20. Now, what this notification speaks, I am supposed to file an appeal in the month of April, but the compliances which are falling between 20 March to 30 August, the time limit deadline is extended. So though the last date to file an appeal is of 30 of the April 2020, but due to the notification number 55, I can file an appeal against the order of January 2020 in the month of by on or before 31st of August. So this is what is the benefit of the notification number 55. Next, please. What is the scope of the notification? How the notification cover what type of activity, that is what is the expressed in this slide. Completion of any proceeding or passing of any order, that action is pertaining to the authority, or issues of any notice, intimation and notification, it again pertains to the authority. Sanction or approval or such other action by whatever name called, that is again applicable to the authority, by any authority, commission or a tribunal, by whatever name called. So these first 4 lines is applicable. Relief compliances is applicable to the department. Now later part of the notification is for the taxpayer. Filing of an appeal is required to be filed by the taxpayer. So he is also covered by the notification. Filing of an appeal is also covered. Filing of an reply, if any so-called notice is issued to someone and someone is some taxpayer and taxpayer is required to file a reply, that also the relief is given by the notification number 55, and the reply date is falling between 20 March to 30th of August. Then the reply can be filed prior to 31st of August. Though the deadline under the rule speaks about within 1 month or within 15 days, but still the time limit is extended by the notification up to 31st of August. And furnishing of any report, document and written, most important thing is written. Some returns are required to be filed after closure of the month within 13 days, 50 days, 20 days. For that return also the time limit is extended by this notification. So that we will see in the later part, but return are also extended by way of this notification, statement or such other record by whatever name called. So this is the scope of notification, under which notification number 55 is giving the benefit to the taxpayer as well as to the authority. Next, please. What are the sections to which this notification does not apply? Mind well, the notification is very wide notification, but the later part of the notification speaks that this notification number 55 will not applicable to the following sections. So the sections where the chapter 4, which covers the time and value of supply, this is the trigger of the GST, at what point of time taxpayer is required to generate the tax invoice. That is what is the provided in the time of supply section. So section 12, 13, 14, 15. For that section, the notification and deadline of 31st August is not applicable. To opt out from the composition levy, the threshold limit prescribed under the composition section 10 subsection 3 speaks that if the threshold limit exceeded the 1.5 CR, then composition dealer is required to be opt out from the composition scheme voluntarily. And if composition scheme, the threshold limit is exceeded in the month of March, say for on the 21st of March, so the taxpayer is required to make an application by following the rule itself, and he cannot take shelter of the notification number 55. Procedure of the obtaining registration, if compulsory registration is required to be obtained, if the threshold limit crosses 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs for trader and 20 lakhs for the provider of a service. And if it falls in section 24 compulsory registration, so he has to opt registration by moving an application. He cannot take shelter of notification number 55 and say that the deadline is extended by the notification to make all the compliances. So this is the section 25 is under the exclusion part. Section 27 is a special provision relating to casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. They have to opt a registration irrespective the notification number 55 is there. Generation of tax invoice, in issuing a tax invoice, so far as the dealer who is dealing in goods, he has to generate tax invoice whenever the goods is moving out. And so far as service provider are concerned, they have to generate tax invoice within 30 days after provision of a service. That is what is the prescribed time limit under section 31. Furnishing of a return, the return, the details of an outward supply that is falling under section 31 GSTR1. There are special notification issued for GSTR1. So I am not discussing this, but so far as uploading the detail, outward supply detail is not covered by notification number 55. So you can't say that I will file GSTR1 on the 31st of August. Levy of the late fee, 47 speaks about the late fee. There are separate notification issued. We will discuss in the later part. Interest again, on the later part of this session, we will discuss. There are separate notification issued for the interest, levy of interest on the delayed payment of tax. Next, please. Section 69, power to arrest, that has not been excluded by these notification number 55. Section 90, liability of a partners of firm to pay tax. Penalty, section 122, penalty for certain offenses. Section 129, detention, seizure and release of goods. So EVB mobile check post activity will be continued. That will not be barred by the notification number 55. Section 39. Section 39 covers GSTR 3B. So that has also been not excluded by the benefit of notification number 55. Do not debar the filing of GSTR 3B. There is a separate notification issued, but it is important to note here that section 39 is also covering three another return which is governed by section 39 subsection 3, section 39 subsection 4 and section 39 subsection 5. Section 39 3 subsection speaks about TDS return. Section 39 subsection 4 speaks about ISD input service distributor, and section 39 subsection 5 speaks about the non-resident taxable person return. So all these return, see, it excludes this notification number 55 is excluding these three subsections. So whatever return is required to be filed, that is GSTR 7 for TDS, GSTR 6 for the input service distributor, and GSTR 5 for non-resident taxable person, are covered within the scope of notification number 55, and therefore all these returns are required to be filed by 31st of August 2020. Then the section 68, inspection of a goods in the movement for the e-way bill. Again, this e-way bill activity is again not debarred by the say for notification is covered under the scope of notification number 55, and all allied rules to all these sections are also not applicable to the notification number 50, not covered under the scope of a notification number 55. So whatever those sections are excluded from the notification, for that you cannot take a shelter and you cannot file a reply to 31st of August 2020. Next, please. So what we conclude, what are the activities that we could do by 31st of, on or before 31st of August? Refund application and reply to the notices, application to opt out from the composition levy voluntarily. ITC 04 is the job work return that we can file by 31st of August 2020. Obtaining LUT for the financial year 2020-21, that can be done by the 31st of August. Application for the amendment, any amendment is required to be done within stipulated time, but you can move an application for an amendment by 31st of August. Whatever deadline is prescribed under the rule, that will not be applicable except those sections we discussed in previous two slides. Issuance of credit note and debit note falls under section 34. Furnishing of any record, registration, cancellation application and revocation of a cancellation application, that is also covered by the scope of a notification number 55. In other words, you can file the revocation and registration cancellation application by 31st of August. That has been covered by the scope of a notification. Matching and reversal of an ITC. there is rule 36 sub rule 4 speaks that you have to avail a credit of 110% which shows in the GST to be and not as per the book. So for that also relaxation is covered under the scope of notification number 55. So these are the activity which help us, which give us the relaxation through this notification number 55. Next, please. E-way bill. Now, this e-way bill, we find many questions from our client that those who has generated the e-way bill during the lockdown period and the truck cannot reach to the its destination or to its customer, then what is the correct position of law? If the e-way bill is expired, then what will be the correct position of law? And many a time client is asking whether we can avail a credit if the goods are received on the expire of an e-way bill which is got expired. So these are the position of law by the notification number 47 2020-29 June 2020, old notification number 40 and another notification number 35. Basically notification number 35, notification number 40 has been repealed by the another notification number 47. Original notification 35 is extending the time limit for the e-way bill which is expired between 15th of 24th of March to 30 April, up to 30 April. So those e-way bill which is expired between 24th of March to 20 March to 30 April had been extended up to 30 April. Thereafter, notification number 40 is come into picture and it extends the validity up to 31st of March. Later, notification number 47 is been issued. What it speaks that it is a little bit a different notification which were issued previously. What it speaks that the e-way bill which are generated on or before 24th of March. So the first instant is any e-way bill which are generated before on or before 24th of March 2020 and the e-way bill whose validity has expired on or before 20th of March. The two aspects has been covered. One, any e-way bill which is generated before 24th of March and any e-way bill whose validity has been expired on or after 20th of March. The validity of an e-way bill has been extended by the notification number 47 up to 30th June of 2020. So far as notification number 55 is concerned, the deadline is 31st of August. But the notification number 55 do not applicable here because it exclude the e-way bill activity. And therefore, by the special notification 47, it speaks that if any e-way bill is generated on or before 24th of March 2020 and any e-way bill which is going whose validity is going to be expired on or after 20th March 2020, then the legislature by way of a notification presumed that the validity of an e-way bill is extended up to 38th of June. So this is the position of a law on the e-way bill which are expired between 28th of March to 30 June 2020. Next, please. Then the merchant export transaction. We all know notification number 40 speaks about the merchant export transaction. What it speaks? Any taxpayer who wants to sell goods or supply the goods to a merchant exporter, then he can charge 0.05 or 0.01 to the merchant exporter, and he can take a benefit of a concessional rate provided under section 147 of the CGST Act or SGST Act. Now, as per notification number 40 subsection 40 2 of 2017 dated 23rd of October 2017 CTR, the another condition, one condition of exporting of those goods which has been purchased on a concessional rate is that merchant exporter have to make an export within 90 days from the date of an invoice. Now, any deadline, any time limit for the goods purchased prior to 28th of March 2020 and validity of the 90 days is going to expire between 20 of March 2020 to 29 June 2020. Then by way of a circular number 138, time limit is extended up to 30 June 2020 to meet with the obligation cast upon the merchant exporter by way of a notification number 40. So, if merchant exporter cannot make an export within 90 days, but time limit is going to expire between 20 March 2020 to 29 June 2020, then time limit is extended 30 June 2020 by way of a circular number 138. But if someone cannot still make an export, then what will happen? As per notification number 40, supplier is required to pay full tax. Now, these being a serious consequences on the supplier, my argument is that if merchant exporter cannot make an export within 90 days, even after 30 June, then can shelter of notification number 55, which do not expressly exclude section 140, can we take a shelter that notification number 55 is extended up to 31st of March for making any compliances of the GST Act. So whether the deadline of a 90 days is completed between 20 March 2020 to 30 of August 2020 is covered by the notification number 55, then there will not be a breach of the condition of the notification number 40, and the supplier of a goods is not required to charge full tax. So this is the provision, and we can definitely take a shelter of notification number 55 to make a compliances of notification number 40, and those the time limit which are provided of a 90 days under notification number 50 is if it is going to expire between 20 March 2020 to 30 August 2020, then the export is required to be done by the merchant exporter on or before 31st of August as per notification number 55. That is what is my view on this issue. Next, please. Revocation of cancellation of a registration. If any registration number is cancelled up to 12 June 2020, then it falls under the notification number 55, squarely covers, we saw that, and the deadline to make a revocation application is later of the following two dates. That is the date of service of the cancellation order and the 31st of August 2020. So later date is prescribed by the ROD order. There is a removal of a difficulty order is there. That is the removal of difficulty order number 1 of 2020, which speaks that if any registration number is cancelled by 12 June 2020, then revocation application can be done by the later date, that is date of service of the said cancellation order or the 31st of August 2020. By and large, every revocation application later date is prescribed. By and large, the deadline is to make a revocation application is the 30 days from the date of revocation order. So from the date of cancellation order. So that's why the deadline is 31st of August, because later date is prescribed in a revocation order. So to move an application for revocation, the deadline is 31st of August. However, there are certain difficulty on the portal, and to align with ROD order number 1 of 2020, the portal is not as of now configured. So there is a guideline prescribed by the portal that the concerned person whose registration has been cancelled have to approach the jurisdictional officer, and he has to pass an offline order, and thereafter he has to make an application after post login as per the procedure and guideline given on the gst.gov.in. So everyone have to refer whose registration number has been cancelled prior to 12 June 2020. They have not to file an appeal, but they have to approach the officer and they have to take an offline order and do necessary action on the revocation, and they have a chance. Even they have a chance. If someone has not filed an appeal, then also they can take a benefit of this removal of doubt order, and they can revoke their registration after filing of return. So this is a welcome order, removal of a doubt order, and we have to take benefit of this ROD order number 1 of 2020. Next, please. Now we see that notification number 55 is giving a relaxation for these certain relief, basically filing of an return and everything. So one question is raised here. If the bill date is of March and the receipt of goods is in June, in the lockdown period, the goods which are in transit, we saw that e-way bill, there is a relaxation in the e-way bill. That though the e-way bill is generated prior to 24th of March and expired within 4 or 5 or 10 days, but the validity has been extended up to 30 June. Now in that scenario, the invoice date is of March and receipt of goods is in June. So whether the condition of section 16(2)(b) is required to be looked into while availing the credit. In other words, the supplier has an generated invoice in March and goods has been received in June. So which month is the correct month to avail the credit for those invoices? March or June? Because invoice date is March and receipt, if we can showing the condition of section 16 subsection 2 subsection B, which speaks that every registered person can avail an input tax credit as and when he received the goods or services. So if he has not received the goods in March and if it is received the goods in June, so which is the correct month to avail the credit? According to me, notification number 35 and 55 is squarely applicable to this transaction, and we can take the credit in the month of March, and we are not supposed to take credit in the month of June. But if someone is taking credit in June, then it is good. But if those who have taken a credit in the month of March as per the invoice date, though the goods is received in the month of June, then also notification number 55 is applicable to section 16, and therefore credit is available in the month of March 2020. Next, please. Condition of making payment within 180 days as per section 16 subsection 2, proviso to section 16 subsection 2. We all know section 16 subsection 2 speaks that tax credit, those registered taxable person who has availed the credit is required to make a payment to the supplier within 180 days from the date of an invoice. Now, due to the lockdown, due to the slowdown, the time limit for 180 days is going to expire between 20 March 2020 to 30 August 2020. Then, if someone could not make a payment between this time and make a payment by 31st of August 2020, whether he is supposed to reverse the input tax credit and can reclaim the credit at the time of making payment, or straight away whatever credit he has availed and make the payment on 31st August is correct. So this is what is the complexity created due to section 16 subsection 2 proviso. In my view, notification number 35 and 55 is squarely applicable, and therefore, though the time limit is completed between falling between those periods and the payment is done on 31st of August, then no need to make a reversal, and therefore the taxpayer can take a benefit, and the notification number 55 covers the scope of section 16, and therefore no need to make any reversal. Even otherwise, there is no mechanism under the Act to make a reversal as per Rule 37. So this is a separate legal aspect. But though the credit is payment is not done within 180 days, then it is a very debatable point, and Rule 37 does not prescribe any mechanism for reversal of a credit. So that is a different aspect. But that technical topic, this is not of my today's subject. Uchit Bhai is the correct person who will deal in the next lecture. But so far as the limit and timeline is concerned, notification number 55 will apply in my view, and therefore no need to make any reversal of an ITC if the deadline is completed between this period. Next, please. So due to this relaxation, we all feel are happy that lots of relaxation is given by the notification number 55, all the return, whether we should file by the 31st of August. No, that is not the correct thing. Next, please. Next, please. So this is the calendar for the month of June, July, August and September. You see, in every month, at least we are fully equipped with the 4 to 5 days by making compliances under the GST Act. There are other compliances are there under the Income Tax Act and any other act. But so far as GST Act is concerned, every month is fully equipped, and we have to stay free on these dates. So we will discuss now which are the dates and how to deal with the dates and what are the deadlines for filing GSTR 1 and 3B and other returns prescribed under the GST Act. Next, please. Relevant dates for filing of return and form. GSTR 3B 1 and 4, GSTR 4 and Composition 8 2 and ITC 03 and 04 are the form for which the separate notification is issued, and for that separate deadline is prescribed by this various notification. Next, please. So far as GSTR 3B are concerned, the deadline to file a return is segregated in two parts: those who are having a turnover more than 5 CR and those who are having a turnover less than 5 CR. The registered taxable person whose turnover more than 5 CR for the month of February to April 20 is required to be filed GSTR 3B for the month of February to April 20 on or before 24th of June. So deadline to file GSTR 3B for the taxpayer whose turnover is more than 5 CR is the 24th of June. So far as May 2020 return is concerned, GSTR 3B is concerned, the deadline is prescribed by the notification number 36 is of 27th June. So far as taxpayer whose turnover is less than 5 CR, so far as return for the February, the deadline is 30 June, for March 3rd July, April 6th July, May 12th September, so far as June 20, 23rd of September, July 20, 27th of September, and for the month of August, 1st of October. So far as August 20 is concerned, notification number 54 is providing the deadline to file GSTR 3B for the taxpayer whose turnover is less than 5 CR. So far as turnover more than 5 CR are concerned, for the month of June 20 and July 20, GSTR 3B date is, so far as July 20 is 28th of August, and so far as June 20 is 27th of July. 27th of July. So that is what is the deadline we have to keep in mind. 28th of June, sorry. So far as June month is concerned, June 20 is concerned, for the taxpayer whose turnover is more than 5 CR, the deadline to file GSTR 3B is 20 July, and so far as July 20 is concerned, 28th of August is the deadline to file GSTR 3B. There is no separate relaxation for the month of June and July. So that we have to keep for the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover in a preceding financial year is more than 5 CR. Next, please. The recipient is entitled to claim in ITC. This is a very important point that we have to keep in mind. The recipient is entitled to claim in ITC if supplier has paid the tax as per section 16 to subsection C. What it speaks that if supplier of goods has paid the tax, then and then recipient can avail an input tax credit. Now presume any recipient has buy a goods from a supplier of service whose turnover is less than 5 CR. The relaxation is given by, we have seen in a previous slide, the relaxation is given by the various notifications to file their GSTR 3B return. And as per the return, so far as April 20 return is concerned, the deadline is July 20. Now, the taxpayer whose turnover is less than 5 CR has issued an invoice in the month of April 20, and recipient has received the goods also in the month of April 20 and availed the credit in the month of May 20. If he is a more than 5 CR company or a taxpayer, then supplier is going to pay tax in the month of July 20 by virtue of this notification. So whether, what are the correct position of a law? Whether the credit claim by the recipient in the month of April 20 is the correct one, because supplier is going to make a tax payment in the month of July and recipient here availing credit in the month of April. So there is a time gap between the availing a credit and making payment of tax. So what is the correct position of law on this type of a critical or serious issue? I think, in my opinion, notification number 55 will cover this situation, and this is a special relaxation given by the department. And though the supplier is making tax payment in the month of July, but recipient is availing credit in the month of April, then it has been rightly availed by him and it cannot be challenged by the department in future. But this may invite the litigation in future if someone is making a default in a payment, because government is never not getting interest also. Here recipient is availing credit prior to making tax payment by the supplier of a goods. So this will the real loss to the government coffers, but still we can take a shelter of notification number 55. One another argument is that section 16 subsection 2 subsection 6 speaks that the tax is required to be paid by the return. It do not speak about the deadline. So by way of a return, supplier is finally paying tax, and therefore by which time he is required to make the payment of tax, that is covered by the various notification, and therefore if there is a time gap between making availing ITC and making tax payment by the supplier, then also for this limited period for scope of that notification, a credit is rightly availed by the recipient of the goods or service, whatever it may be. Next slide, please. So far as GSTR 1 is concerned, notification number 53 is applicable. Here, there is no turnover segregation. Every taxpayer who is having a turnover more than 5 CR or less than 5 CR is required to file GSTR 1 for the month of March 20, 10 July, April 20, 24th of July, May 20, 28 July, June 25th of August. So far as quarterly return are concerned, those who have opted for the quarterly GSTR 1 option, January to March 17 July and April 20 to June 20, GSTR 1 is required to be filed by the 3rd August 2020. So this is the deadline for the GSTR 1 prescribed under the notification number 53. So that we have to keep in mind. These are the deadline so far as GSTR 1 is concerned, so far as the taxpayer more than 5 CR or less than 5 CR are concerned. Next slide, please. Now, due to this extension, again, one serious issue will crop up because this deadline will directly have a conflict with the circular of a refund. What is that circular speaks? We all know there is a master circular issued, circular number 125, dated 18th November 2019. It's a very good circular for availing, for obtaining refund from the department, and procedure of the refund is made the crystal clear by the circular number 18th of November 2019. Thereafter, another circular number 135 is issued, and refund claim has been restricted so far as GSTR 2 is concerned. While making the guideline is given by the circular number 135 that if taxpayer has claimed a refund and this entry is not availing, reflecting in GSTR 2A, then the authority will not give the refund for that entry which is not reflected in GSTR 2A. Now, that circular is restricting the refund for the GSTR 2A if the entry is not reflected in GSTR 2A. This is the direct conflict. If anyone is claiming refund from March 20 to June 20, and we see in a previous slide that GSTR 1 has been deferred by the notification up to the deadline prescribed in the notification number 53. So those who is claiming refund will have to face lots of problems, and they have a big challenge, and they have to lapse the refund, or they have to move an application or appeal because if subsequent GSTR 2A is reflecting the entry for the refund sought for. So these were the serious aspect that going to be faced due to the deferment of the GSTR 1 refund that everyone have to keep in mind. Next slide, please. Composition scheme. CMP 8 is the time limit prescribing is a form by which tax payment is required to be made by the composition taxpayer. So far as January to March 2020 is concerned, last date to make the payment for the composition taxpayer is the 7th July. And so far as April 20 to June 20 is concerned, it is 18th July is there. So that is that aspect have to keep in mind by the composition taxpayer. For composition taxpayer is concerned, a notification number 55 will not cover, and they cannot say that CMP 8 person who is making tax payment under CMP 8, they cannot take shelter of notification number 55, and the deadline cannot be treated as a 31st of August. So far as period April 20 to June 20 is concerned. So far as January 20 to March 20 is concerned, the last date is for that return has been extended by notification number 34 till 7th July 2020. But so far as period April 20 to June 20 is concerned, there is no extension, and CMP 8 is required to be filed by 18 July 2020. GSTR 4 is the annual return. So far as composition dealer is concerned, the deadline is covered by the notification number 55, and so far as financial year 2019-20 is concerned, the GSTR 4 is required to be filed by 31st August 2020. That is what is the prescribed by the notification number 59 dated 13th July 2020. CMP 02 is application for opt-out composition scheme. So far as financial year 2020-21 is concerned, the deadline is 30 June 2020 by notification number 3rd April 2020. ITC 03 is a reversal and making tax payment for the taxpayer. It's a form. So far as FY 2020-21 is concerned, the deadline is the 31st of, and it is governed by the declared by the notification number 3rd April 2020. So these were the deadline for the composition taxpayer to opt out, to make the payment, to file the annual return, and everyone, every activity making compliances by the composition taxpayer. Next, please. So far as the return which are required to be filed by the non-resident taxable person, input service distributor, TDS, tax deduction at source, and TCS, tax collection at source by the taxpayer. GSTR 5 is the form of a return for the non-resident taxpayer. So far as tax period March 20 to July 20, the due date is 28th of the succeeding month. Just refer notification number 55, which is excluding the notification section 30, subsection 3, 4, 5. And therefore, this is the cover, this action is covered, this deadline is covered by the notification number 55. And therefore, deadline is 31st of August to file GSTR 5. So far as GSTR 6 ISD number is concerned, so far as ISD return which is required to be filed in GSTR 6 for the month of March 20 to July 2020, the deadline is the 38th June of the succeeding month. But due to notification, the deadline for the month of March 20 to July 20 is 31st of August 2020. So far as GSTR 7 is concerned, tax deduction is sourced. This is very important notification for the government concerned who is filing TDS return in Form 7. If they are paying tax, by way of by filing GSTR 7 for the period March 20 to July 20. Generally, the general deadline is the 10th of succeeding month, but to file GSTR 7, the deadline is extending up to 31st of August. This is a very welcome and important notification. Number 55 is covering the aspect for the taxpayer who is governed by, who is filing return under section 39 subsection 3 in form GSTR 7. So this is very important issue that we have to keep in mind. And so far as March 20 to July 20, GSTR 7 is required to be filed by 31st of August 2020. If they file return after 31st of March 2020, then there will be the interest liability. So far as GSTR 8 is concerned, tax collected at source, tax collected TCS e-commerce operator provision for March 20 to July 20, 10th of the succeeding month is the deadline under as per the law, but the extended period is 31st of August 2020 so far as GSTR 8 is concerned. Now what is about GSTR 10? GSTR 10 is final return prescribed under section 45. What is the event? The event is if someone is cancelling the registration, then after cancellation of a registration, from the date of order or effect of an order within 3 months, GSTR 10 is required to be filed by that taxpayer. In a case of a cancellation of a registration and that cancellation has not been further challenged, then that taxpayer is over and above annual return is required to file final return as per section 45 other than composition taxpayer, and the deadline is 3 months. Later date 3 months from the date of an order and effect of an order, which is the later one. Whether if the time limit to file GSTR 10 between 28th of March 2020 to 38th of August 2020, then whether section notification number 55 will help to file the GSTR 10, the answer is yes. If registration number is cancelled and the deadline to file GSTR 10 is falling between 28th of March 2020 to 30 June 38th of August 2020, then GSTR 10 return can be filed by 31st of August 2020. So this is the position of law and compliance date so far as GSTR 10 is concerned. Next please. Interest and late fees. In the previous slides, we have shown the deadline so far as filing of various returns, forms and etc. Now we are discussing about the late fees and relaxation and interest. Relaxation given by the notification so far as late fee and interest are concerned. So far as GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 is concerned. Next please. Notification number 55 is for the interest rate. What it speaks that if turnover is aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR and GSTR 3B for the month of February 2020 to April 2020 is there, then it is required to be filed by the 28th of succeeding month. But by way of a notification number 51, there is a special relaxation is given. The relaxation speaks that if the GSTR 3B is not filed within time prescribed, then there will be nil interest if GSTR 3B is filed by the taxpayer within 15 days after deadline is over. So far as February 2020 to April 2020 GSTR 3B is concerned. if February 2020 and to April 2020 GSTR 3B is filed on or after 28th of June 2020, then 9% interest is there, and after on or before 2020, then 9% interest is there, and 18% interest is required to be paid by the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR in GSTR 3B for the month of February to April is filed by after 24th of June 2020. So far as return for the month of February 2020, March 2020, April 2020 for the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is less than 5 CR. The deadline to file the return GSTR 3B is, if they file return on or before 30 June, there will be no interest. If March return is filed by the 3rd of July, then there will be a no interest. If April return is filed on or before 6 July, then there will be a no interest. If the February 2020 return is filed between 1st July 2020 to 30 September 2020, then 9% interest will be there. If February 2020 return is filed by the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is less than 5 CR, then 18% interest is there. If the March 2020 return for the taxpayer whose turnover is less than 5 CR, then if the return is filed between 4th July to 30 September, then 9% interest will be there. March 2020 return, GSTR 3B return filed by the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is less than 5 CR, then 30 September 2020, if they file after 30 September 2020, then they have to pay interest at the rate of 18%. Likewise, every month the deadline has been given in the slide. Next, please. Next, please. May, June and July, the deadline is given here. If the nil shows the nil tax interest rate is there, 9% interest will be there if the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR is filing the return between the period mentioned in the third column, then if they file, the 9% interest will be there. 18% interest will be there if the return filed by the 38th of September 2020. Now, interesting point is that the last date of filing GSTR 3B return for the month of March is 27 June for the turnover who is having turnover more than 5 CR by notification number 36. Notification number 36 speaks that the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR can file return on or before 27th of June 2020. Notification, any notification is not giving relaxation in paying interest, because so far as May 2020 is concerned, as per rule, the deadline is, as per provision, the deadline is the 20 June, and we have filed GSTR 3B on 27th of the June. So 7 days time period gap is there. There is no express notification which are giving relaxation in making tax payment for the GSTR 3B for the month of March. GSTR notification number 36 is only speaks that deadline is to file the GSTR 3B is 27th of March. Likewise, the notification number 51, there is no separate notification for giving relaxation for the month of March. Then whether it will be treated as a default if we file GSTR 3B for the month of May 2020 on 27th of June 2020? The answer is, see, there is a dilemma over it, but if you refer the website gst.gov.in, there is a table given over there for the interest calculation. What it speaks that? It speaks that there is no express notification for the same, but it speaks that the deadline to file GSTR 3B return for the month of May 2020 is 27th of June 2020. If GSTR 3B is filed by the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR on or before 27 June 2020, then there will be no interest. So far as 9% rate is concerned, there is no relaxation for the month of May 2020 for the taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR. If any taxpayer whose aggregate turnover is more than 5 CR is filing GSTR 3B after 27th of June 2020, then the interest is required to be paid by those taxpayers at the rate of 18%. The 9% interest rate is not available to those taxpayers for the month of May 2020. Next. Calculation of an interest. Calculation of an interest is required to be done. This is an illustrative table provided under the circular number 141. That is what is here reflected here. Let's say March 2020 return is there. 2020 return is there. The due date as per the provision for the turnover more than 5 CR is 28th of April 2020. This is the deadline provided under the Act. The various notification has been issued and the deadline to file the return has been extended up to some extent, that is 15 days from the deadline. Now circular number 136, I think, give a clarity that due date has not been extended of any return. They say by way of a circular that deadline due date has not been extended. There is a waiver of an interest and late fee is there. So interest and late fee has been waived by the notification, but due date has not been extended. So how to make a calculation, that we have to keep in mind. March 20, if the return is filed on 2nd May, then it is delayed by the 12 days. There will be no interest because it is covered within the 15 days as per the notification. If return is filed on 28th of May 2020, then there will be the 30 days delay, but interest is required to be calculated for the 15 days only. First 15 days exemption is given by the notification, and for the rest 15 days 9% interest will be there. If the return is filed on 20 June 2020, then 61 days is deferred. For 15 days there will be no interest. For 46 days 9% interest is required to be paid. 24th of June 65 days default is there. 15 days again no interest is required to be paid. Thereafter for 50 days 9% interest is required to be paid. So far as if the March return is filed on 30 June 2020, then 71 days default is there. For 15 days no interest. Thereafter for another 50 days 9% interest is required to be paid, and for rest 6 days 18% is required to be paid under the GST Act. This is the illustrative calculation, and you have to make a calculation wherever you are. Our client is making default in filing the GSTR 3B return of the previous month. So this is what is about the calculation for the interest. Next, please.
Samir bhai,
Yes.
5 minutes left, Samir bhai. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So far as late fee is concerned, late fees for the turnover, the GSTR 3B, GSTR 1 and 3B return is concerned, the turnover greater than 5 crore, nil rate is nil rate late fee is there for the 24th of June. If it is filed before 24th of June, 500 max, if the return is filed on or before 38th of September for the period February 20 to April 20. So far as May 20, June 20 and July 20 are concerned, deadline and dates are given here below. Nil column is showing the late fee as a nil if that GSTR 3B and 1 is filed before that date. Before that date, there will be no late fee as per section 47. So far as 500 column is concerned, if the return is filed by the 38th of September for the turnover, for the taxpayer whose turnover more than 5 CR, then 500 is there, and thereafter regular late fee will be levied under the provision of GST law. Next. Similarly, so far as late fee is concerned, by notification number 52 and 57, the turnover, those who is having a turnover less than 5 CR, the relevant late fees are prescribed, mentioned here in the table. I'm not discussing here. Next, please. The welcome notification is there so far as the default, the last row, so far as July 2017 to January 2020. If taxpayer who is making a default in return for the July 2017 to January 2017, if those returns are filed by this 38th of September, then and the tax rate is nil, then there will be a no late fee for that GSTR 3B. This is a one-time waiver of the late fee is there by way of a notification. If there will be a tax payment is there and the return will be filed by the 38th of September, then 500 late fee will be there. And if those returns are filed after 38th of September, then late fee will be as per the provision of law. So this is a very welcome notification, and we have to take a benefit of this notification for the previous period if someone has default in making a filing of the return for those tax period. Next, please. There is a welcome tweet. Those who have filed the return and subsequently notification has given a relaxation in late fee. If someone has paid the higher late fee and subsequently notification has given a relaxation in a late fee on 30th of June, then by way of a Twitter, GST department has declared that they will recredited the late fee in due course. So this is a very welcome. There is no official notification for for this, but this Twitter will definitely come into subsequently by way of a notification. Next, please. There are various issues. What will be the last date to opt out from the composition scheme as per notification number 55? 31st of August is the last date. No relaxation in filing GSTR 3B for the turnover more than 5 CR for the month of June and July 20. What will be the last date to file ITC 04? ITC 04 is the job work return. So far as January to March 2020 and April 20 to June 20, as per notification number 55, so far ITC 04 is required to be filed on or before 31st of August 2020. Late fee will be calculated from the actual due date if GSTR 3B are not filed within the extended date prescribed under the notification. No relaxation in late fees if tax is nil for the tax period February to July 20. So far as February 20 to July 20 is concerned, if the tax payment tax is nil, there will be a no late fee. This is what we have to keep in mind. While portal is not allowing to opt out composition scheme voluntarily, you have to select other reason to make an application. When you move an application voluntarily to opting out from the composition and portal does not allow you to opt out from the composition, you have to select other reason, and by that way you can opt out voluntarily from the composition scheme. Next please.
Samir bhai.
Bas 2 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Nil return facility has been GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B nil return facility is now on the portal, and by way of SMS GSTR 1 and 3B return can be filed. But keep in mind the judgment of Anil Kumar. Anil Kumar judgment speaks that whatever interest earned on the FD are also part of an aggregate turnover. Then everyone is having interest income of a savings account, bank FDs, and everything is there. Then there will be a no nil turnover. According to me, exempted turnover are also the turnover, and it is not advisable to file nil return so far as GSTR 3B and 1 by way of an SMS. Next please. Amendment is there so far as EBC by way of a private limited company can also file that GSTR 1 and 3B return by way of a EBC by like a partnership firm, partnership and proprietary concern. Next please. Rule 36(4). I will conclude it after this. Rule 36(4) is last slide is completed for this rule. Rule 36(4) is there. Next slide please. But see, by way of a circular number 136, it speaks that though there will be the difference between GSTR 2 and book credit, then cumulative credit for the month of February to August is there, and due to cumulative credit, every taxpayer have to settle their credit in the month of September. That is what circular number 136 is there. I will explain the whole scenario by way of a calculation, and there I will conclude my session. Next slide please. This is the example of a cumulative calculation so far as rule 36(4) is there. There are various periods: February 20, March 20, April 20, May 20, June 20, July 20, and August 20. As per book, let's say for those 7 months, 100 rupees credit is there. GSTR 2A is showing credit 500, calculatively for this 7 months 570. In different month, different credit is shown in a GSTR 2A. So as per book, for those, as per book, credit is 700 rupees for those 7 months. As per GSTR 2A, 570 is there. But we have a claim credit as per books for those men. Now, how to follow circular number 136? In the month of September, we have a book credit again of 100 rupees. GSTR 2A is showing credit of 90 rupees. So as circular number 136, we are eligible to claim a credit of 18 rupees. How? Eligible credit is restricted as per rule 110% of a 570, that comes to 627 rupees. We have availed the credit of 700. Eligible credit is as per rule 627. Excess credit claim is 73 rupees. So far as month of September is concerned, 10% credit we can avail. So eligible credit for the month of September is 99 rupees. So tax credit to be claimed, I have wrongly written over here 18 rupees. It comes to 26 rupees. So kindly sorry for the mistake in the last table, but it should be 26 rupees, not 18 rupees. So thank you very much for providing me an opportunity, and I thank you everyone who is providing me an opportunity to explain my thoughts on a due date and compliance under the GST. There are lots more things to say about the rule, but I will share the PPT with you, and thank you very much. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, Samir bhai. Friends, it is our mistake because Samir bhai's actual time is 3 hours. He has a capacity to deliver to 3 hours. So next time we will definitely give Samir bhai 3 hours. That will be enough time for Samir bhai. So quickly, I request CA Rushabh Shah to proceed for the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the AGFTC, CA Association and Income Tax Bar Association, I heartily thank Samir bhai for a wonderful lecture. I am very sure that તમારી જેમ સમીર ભાઈ ઘણા લોકોને બી આ ટાઈમ ઓછો જ પડ્યો હશે. We heartily thank you again for an excellent session, and we hope to have many more such sessions from you in the coming future. And I hand it back to Karthikeya bhai.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rushabh bhai, for the vote of thanks. Friends, you have received separate link for the our 5:30 session. So we all of you to immediately start with that session, and we are ending the session. Thank you, Samir bhai, for your wonderful providing of knowledge. Thank you so much.